Hello, welcome to another episode of Beeville Live. Today I'm going to be making some delicious turkey salad. I make my turkey salad a little bit differently than most folks, but I think you'll enjoy the twist. For this, you're going to need some cubed turkey. You can also use chicken. I have some leftovers that I'm using. I like to throw in an apple or some other kind of piece of fruit. You can also use grapes if they're in season. 2 stalks of celery, a small onion. I have some microgreens here, fresh from Brady Farm. I'm going to use those to top my sandwich. And I also add a scoop of my mixed nuts. I throw this in a lot of things. This is a combination of pistachios, walnuts, almonds, pecans, cranberries, and golden raisins. And I use this in a lot of things. Nuts are really good for you. They tell you to increase your longevity in life. According to the Blue Zones, you should be eating nuts every day. The Seventh-day Adventists do it, and it's proven. I'm also going to be using some mayonnaise. I use the olive oil mayonnaise. I think it's a little bit healthier for you. So let's get started. So I have my cubed turkey in here. You can also use cubed chicken. And now I'm going to slice my vegetables and fruit. The reason I use fruit and vegetables because the onions have a little bit of bite. You have the sweetness of the apple or the grapes, and that makes up for it. So let's get chopping. So when you cut your celery, you're going to cut it into 3 pieces. You clean your stalks off, you're going to cut both ends off, but I leave the greens. The more greens you have, the healthier you are. I always tell you that God gives you lines to follow. So now I've cut it into 3 sections that are easier to follow, and I'm just going to follow those lines that are already in here. So I cut it in half, and then I cut those halves again, so you're actually cutting the stalk into quarters. Okay, and I make a pile of those. I think my dog knows when I'm videotaping because as soon as I start whirling, she starts barking. She's a good watchdog. People get deliveries during the day, and we have houses being built near us, so there's always people walking around. She's my good watchdog. All right, once you get those quarters, you're going to stack them, and then you're going to just cut down about 1/4 inch in size. Now you can also add carrots to this. Since I'm using the apple today, I'm not going to use the carrots, but the carrots will give a little bit of sweetness. A lot of times in fancy restaurants, you'll get cranberry and almonds or cranberry and pecans. I like a mixture of nuts. And if the pieces are a little large, you can just go across. And then you'll have a nice 2 stalks of celery chopped up for you, ready to go. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my onion up. And you can use a large onion or small onion. I don't want too much onion in it, so I'm just going to put a little. If you don't have onion, you can also use onion powder, but the fresh onion is better. Closer to nature that you can keep eating, the better off you'll be. Especially if you're getting organic, and that's what I like. I get all my organic produce from a local farm. I always talk about Brady Farm. I hope you support it, especially if you're in the Syracuse, Baldwin area. And if you're not, please support your local farms. You know, that's how you're going to keep them in business, and we all need to eat. So, you know, support your local farmers, especially the organic farmers. Okay, so I diced up my onion, I cut it in half, I followed the lines that God made for us, and I put that in. Okay, then I'm going to cut my apple in half, and I should have used my core, but I'm just going to cut the core out of it just like that. I cut it in half, and then I cut it in wedges like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You cut your apple in half, you make an angle, 45-degree angle around the core like that, and then you lay it on its side. Whenever you're cutting, you always want to make sure you have a base to cut on. So you want to make sure that you are either holding it flat or that it's laying on a flat surface so that your knife doesn't slip. Okay, and I just cut those into chunks. They're about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And when you get used to chopping, it'll go really fast. I know a lot of people tell me, oh, they don't know how to cook, so they order everything out. They buy everything in the store prepared. And, you know, I guess that's okay, but it doesn't, you know, not knowing how to cook is not an excuse. I mean, you know, before videos, there were cookbooks. That was how I learned to cook. where I watched people when I would go to their houses. I would ask and taught myself how to cook. We could never afford to eat out when, you know, we were first married. So, and then if any of the apples are caught together, you're just going to kind of separate them. Okay, so get all your little pieces in. Get this out of the way. And then we're going to do our mixing. So in your bowl, you're just going to toss your ingredients first. Okay. Now I like to add my seasoning in before the mayonnaise so the seasoning doesn't adhere. So the seasoning is pretty simple. I have my regulars that I use all the time. I use a little bit of salt. It's about 1/4 teaspoon. I use pepper, about 1/8 teaspoon. I use a little bit of Mrs. Dash's. That's got a little bit of everything. And then I add my special seasonings, which are really good for your heart and for inflammation, all kinds of things in your body. And that is my cumin and turmeric. If you ever read anything by Dr. Greger, he wrote the book on how not to die. The China study, they all show that cumin and turmeric is used in cultures where they have the oldest living population. So I like to use a lot of it. You don't have to use much. I mean, when I say a lot of it, I use it all the time. And a little bit of paprika. Anytime you're using poultry, paprika is a nice addition. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna stir up my seasoning. And I have 2 pieces of bread I'm toasting, so I'm gonna pop that down. And then the mayonnaise. So I usually do half mayonnaise and half plain yogurt, but I don't have any plain yogurt in the house. I only have vanilla. So I'm using about, I'm gonna say about 1/3 cup of mayonnaise in there. You don't have to use a ton of mayonnaise. You just really want enough to kind of adhere the ingredients. And then you're just gonna mix that up. The salad will get better with age, so you want to eat it in the next 2 to 3 days, but the second day it's actually better than the first day because the flavors have had time to marinate. And you want to mix that really well. You can use light mayonnaise. I have light mayonnaise that I use too. And if it's too dry, you can add a little bit more. So I'm adding about another 2 or 3 tablespoons. Like I said, I like to mix mine half and half. You can use all plain yogurt, but I like to mix half plain yogurt and half mayonnaise. It's a little bit healthier for you. And the cumin and the turmeric and the paprika are going to give it a beautiful color. Some people put eggs in their salads, but I don't. I figure you already have the protein from the meat, so you don't need to overkill. Okay, so I have my plate and I have my bread. So I use sourdough bread. It's very good for you. I've toasted it. And then I'm going to scoop some out. Now, if you don't have turkey or chicken left over, I mean, you can even use a rotisserie chicken if you have leftover rotisserie chicken. I do that sometimes. I had some turkey, believe it or not, left over from Thanksgiving. I defrosted it. I had a lot of it. Like I said, we only eat meat once or twice a week, so I didn't want to waste the rest of it. So I eat it for lunch. And I'm going to take my microgreens that I got from Brady Farm, and I'm going to put those over the top of my sandwich like that. People sometimes don't know what to do with microgreens. They're a great addition to a sandwich. I'm going to put my lid on top and slice that down. And there you have it, a delicious turkey sandwich.